want to welcome you to this lecture on the InRoads 8.7 Name Symbology Tools. We're glad to have you attend our lecture today. If there's anything that you would like to see in more detail, please feel free to let us know. Also, any feedback you have is appreciated. Here's the agenda that we're going to cover today. First, we will talk about the Name Symbology Tools application add-in and where it is located in the software. Then we'll use the Verify Name Symbology command, which looks in the name symbology of your preference XIN file and checks for levels and cells that don't exist in your design file or your level or cell libraries. Next is the Global Name Symbology Edit dialog, which allows you to search and match Symbology Attributes and perform bulk edits to name symbology all in one dialog box. We'll also talk about the Export Name Symbology to CSV and Import Name Symbology from CSV and how to use these files to perform bulk edits on name symbologies. First, let's talk about the Name Symbology application add-in. It's an application add-in, so before we use the command the first time, we have to go to Tools, Application Add-ins, and toggle on the Name Symbology Tools. This add-in provides commands for verifying, editing, exporting, and importing name symbologies to your preference XIN file. Note that these commands are not currently available in AutoCAD. So I'm going to go over to the software and show you the command. Okay, I'm running InRoads version 8.7 with the new Service Pack 1, and I have my preference file loaded. So I'm going to go to Tools, Application Add-ins, and look for the one called Name Symbology Tools Add-in. Let me pull my dialog box up so that you can see the whole box. Notice the lower portion of the dialog box shows, when I highlight my Name Symbology Tools add-in, the lower portion shows the commands that are involved. So I have Verify Name Symbology, Global Name Symbology, Export Name Symbology to CSV, and Import Name Symbology from CSV. And it shows the icon for each of the InRoads products, and these are all checked, so you know that these commands are all available in all the InRoads suite of products. And again, I want to mention that these tools are not currently available in the AutoCAD environment, so if you're running AutoCAD, you won't even see this application add-in in the list. Okay, first we'll talk about the Verify Name Symbology command. It's separated into two categories, levels and cells. If you have the levels toggled on, it compares your XIN file to the active design file and or your attached design libraries. It then generates a report of any levels that exist in your preference file that do not exist in the design file or the design libraries. The second option to toggle on is cells. If you choose this option, it compares the XIN file to the attached cell library and or those defined in the MS cell list. A report is generated of any cells that exist in your preference file that don't exist in your cell library or your cell list. The report is important because it lists XIN name symbologies that have levels and or cells that are not found in the design file or the cell libraries. And you want to know that because if you you're trying to display something and it doesn't show up because you're using a cell that's not in your XIN file or your cell libraries, then you can correct that ahead of time. So let's go to the software and see what the Verify Name Symbology dialog box looks like. So I've turned on my application add-in, so the tool now appears under Tools, and it's called Name Symbology Tools, and the first command is Verify Name Symbology. And here are the three toggle options that I mentioned. The first one checks the levels in the master file, which is your design file. The second one checks the levels in the level libraries. And the third one down here compares the cells. First we'll talk about the levels. There are two ways to specify where this tool should look for the design library files. The first thing you could do is specify a configuration variable in MicroStation by going to Workspace Configuration and find the MS_ design library list. The other thing you could do is use the Browse button to navigate to the location of the file, looking for MicroStation library files with the extension of DGN-LIB. Okay, so the first way that I mentioned was go to MicroStation Workspace Configuration, and let me bring that on top, and look for MS_ DGN-LIB LIST. And you would edit this to add the UStation _ project data design lib and have it look for your DGN-LIBs. Cancel that and go back to the Verify Name Symbology. The second way is to hit your Browse button to the right of the option and then browse to the location of your file with the extension DGN-LIB. So now you can see it in my list. With cells, you have three ways where you can have the verified name symbology look for the cell files. First, you can simply go to MicroStation, Element, Cells, and attach your cell library. Or you can specify a configuration variable in MicroStation, or you can again use the Browse button to navigate for the location of the file, looking for the MicroStation cell libraries with a file extension of .cel. So the first way, go to Elements, Cells, and attach the cell library that you're going to be using. The second way was Workspace Configuration, and look for your cell library list and set it there. And the third way is to go to the Cells portion of the dialog box, pick on the Browse button, and navigate to the location of your .cel file. Note that you can delete the entries in the list just by highlighting and hitting the delete key, and it'll remove those options from the list, but when you cancel out and come back in, it's gonna remember where those are at. If you have levels toggled on and click OK on the dialog box, but you have, let me turn cells off too. If you have levels toggled on and click OK, it should come up and give you a warning that you need to select the level libraries to verify. Let me delete that one. Yeah, there's the warning, select level libraries to verify. So that kind of gives you a reminder that you don't have anything in there. Okay, I'm going to turn cells off and turn levels on and click OK to generate the report. And I'm going to make this larger so that you can see what appears in the report. At the top of the report, it lists the name and location of the preference file that you're using. So it's got your XIN file and the location on your hard drive. It lists the master file or your design file that you're using, and then it lists the level libraries that are compared. And then below that are your results. It has a list of all your name symbologies, the type of symbology, and the level that wasn't found either in the design file or the design libraries. Okay, now I'm going to run the sales report, and it lists the same. It has your preference file, your cell libraries that you're using, the name symbology, what type of symbology, and then it lists all the cells that aren't found, that do not exist in your design file or cell library. Previously, you could change these manually through the Name Symbology Manager one by one, or you could edit the civil INI through Notepad or Excel. We'll talk later on in this session about a new tool called Global Name Symbology Edit, which allows you to edit these types of problems. Notice in this list that INR underbar plus is the most common cell that we're not seeing here, so we'll work on that one later. Let me talk about the report for a minute. You have the standard InRoads report options to save as, where you can save the report as a text file to your hard drive, append to an existing file, display the report in your design file, or you can send the report to your printer. This tool allows you to see whether the settings in your XIN preference file match your design file levels and your cell libraries. It's useful for making sure your users are in compliance with your company standards, and it allows you to find problems such as missing cells very quickly rather than when you're trying to display something in InRoads and it doesn't show up. The next tool we're going to talk about is the Global Name Symbology Edit tool. This tool provides the capability to perform searches and make bulk modifications of symbology attributes in your preference file. With this tool, you can see all symbology attributes for your name symbology all in one dialog box, which makes it a lot easier to see what you're looking at. It includes the options to include views and include symbology types, which allows you to narrow your search when necessary, and it also provides a character match by name using standard wildcards, and it provides an option to match by case. Here's the basic workflow for using the Global Name Symbology Edit command. First, you'll bring up the command, find the items you want to change, make the changes to the attributes for the different symbologies such as color, line weight, font, then highlight the specific matched items that you want to change, select apply, and the changes will be made globally to all the different name symbologies in your XIN file at one time. Later on, I've got some examples that I'm going to walk through for you, such as replacing font names, searching for specific symbologies and changing some of the settings for the attributes of those symbologies, and replacing a cell name that doesn't exist with one that does. Let's go back and take a look at the Global Name Symbology Edit command. Tools, Name Symbology Tools, and it's the second one on our add-in, Global Name Symbology Edit. At the top, you'll see a listing of all the symbology attributes. You've got level, color, font, text height, text width, cell name, character. You've got all the attributes that could be used with your symbologies. On the lower left portion of the dialog is the Matched Items window, which will display a list of items that match the search of your selected attributes. Over on the right, Include Views allows you to specify the view will be for default, plan, profile, cross-section. You can pick some of these, all of them, or none of them. Below that, Include Symbology Types lets you pick whether you want to search on lines, text, point, or again a combination of the three, or none of them. Character Match by Name allows you to search on a name for the symbology, for the level, or for the cell. Note that standard wildcards can be used here, and if you have Match Case option toggled on, then it'll do a case-sensitive match. I'm not going to turn on anything yet, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Match here. Notice that the list of matched items is now populated with all my symbologies from the XIN file. These buttons on the right of the Matched Items window, if I click Set Active, it highlights all of them. You can select None to deselect all of them. If I highlight one and click Set Active, then it populates all the symbology attributes that pertain to my matched item. The name symbology that I picked was abutment, so it has populated the level, color, line style, weight, everything that I already have set related to my abutment symbology. So the Set Active lets you see at a glance what attributes are related to that particular symbology. So if I look at Annotation Plan and click Set Active, you can see what attributes are related to that name symbology. Okay, one thing that I wanted to talk about are the InRoads 8.7 combo boxes. For instance, cell name. If with InRoads 8.7, font names that or cell names that don't exist in the user's machine aren't displayed in the combo boxes for the symbology dialogues. Some of the old INI files contain numerical values where the name should be. Okay, let's talk about fonts. So the old INI files, you would have like font 3, and it would be a numerical value instead of a font name. So InRoads, we need to, we happen to know that it should actually be font name engineering instead of font name 3. So what I want to do is show you how we can globally change the numerical value for the actual font name using this Global Name Symbology Edit command. Okay, first I'm going to pick Reset All to clear all the options of the dialog. I want to go over to Font, and key in 3 and click Match. Okay, notice the list of matched items. These are all the name symbologies in my XIM preference file that have a font name of 3. Okay, I'm going to pick all of these, so I've picked the All button, which highlights everything. And I'm going to go back up to my font and type in Engineering, which is, we know what font 3 should actually be called. And now I click Apply. The software comes back with a message box that asks if I'm sure I want to make these changes, which I do, so I'm going to click Yes. And so it has made all those changes. Now I want to kind of check to make sure they did, so I'm going to reset everything, go back to Font and enter 3, and I'm going to do a match, and there are no longer any name symbologies in my preference file that have the font number of 3. Another example would be if you wanted to globally change one color that was being used to another color. For instance, what if I need to print my drawing out with a white background instead of the black one that I usually use? I can search for the symbologies that have the color white and change them all at one time so that they can be seen on a white background. So first I hit Reset All, then go to the attribute called Color and toggle it on. White is the one that's specified, so I'm going to go ahead and do a match by clicking the Match button. And my matched items list is populated. Now I can go back up to the color table and I can either key in the color number if I know what I need it to be, or you can pull it off of your color chart. So I change it to black, and when I click Apply, all the symbologies using the color white will be replaced with black all at one time. Okay, another useful search, say we want to search for all the symbologies in my preference file that display a plus sign. So here's the option for character. Toggle that on. I'm going to enter a plus. Click on the Match button, and the matched items list contains all the symbologies that display with a plus sign. So you can change them all at one time to something else if you want to. Now let's change all the contour symbology so that instead of being on level number 5, they're on a level called Contour. So I'm going to toggle on level and type in 5 to search for all the name symbologies that are set to display on a level called 5. Hit the Match button, and notice here are all the matched items that are the name symbologies from my preference file. Okay, I'm going to select the ones that I want to change. So I'm going to use the standard Shift and pick my list. Go back up to the level key in field, type in the name Contour because I want to change all those that I've picked to that level. So that'll be the new name, Contour. When I hit Apply, it prompts me, do I want to save changes? Yes, I do. And all those have been changed to a level called Contour. Now to check this, I'm going to go to my Name Symbology Manager. I'm going to find my contour, double click it, and here you can see in my Edit Name Symbology dialog box listing, all of my symbology are now on the level called contour. Okay, I'm going to close this. Okay, now let's go back to the Verify Name Symbology tool for a minute, and I want to look at I want to run a quick report on cells only. So it has my cell libraries listed. I have cells toggled on. I don't want levels, so I don't have those toggled on. And I'm going to click OK to generate the report. Going to expand the dialog box so I can see my list. And here are all the cells that are not found in my cell library that I'm using in my XIN file. So I want to take care of those. So the one that occurs most frequently is INR_plus. So that's the one we want to go back and remedy. So let's close this dialog box, cancel, go back to the tools, Name Symbology Tools, Global Name Symbology Edit, and I want to search for all matches for this cell and replace them with one that exists in my cell library. Okay, up here you have the option for cell name, but since that cell doesn't exist in my cell library, it won't appear in the list here, so we can't search there. So I'm going to toggle that off, and instead I'm going to do a character match by name, toggle on cell, and then I'm going to type in INR_plus. And just to see what happens, I'm going to also toggle on match case. Now I pick the match button, and notice that I have 3 matched items in my list. But we had many more than that in the report, so I'm going to toggle off match case so that it'll get even the one in all caps and do a match again. And these are all the name symbologies that contain a cell called INR_plus. Now I can use the Select All button, or just highlight the ones in particular that I want to change. I do want to change them all, so I pick all and then go to the cell name attribute at the top, toggle it on, and now I can go down and find the cell name that I want to change it to. Okay, I'm going to pick TR_PNT from that list of available cells, and then I'm going to click Apply. Again, it asks me if I'm sure I want to make the changes, and I say yes. So all the matched items in my list have been changed from that cell name that didn't exist to one that does, and it happened all very quickly when I chose Apply. So let's go back and verify that those have been replaced. So I'm going to go to the Name Symbology Tools, Verify Name Symbology. Again, I have cells toggled on. I'm going to click OK, and it comes up with my report, and notice all those that were INR_plus are no longer found in my list here. So you would do that with all the ones that were in your report that under the column Cell Not Found, and that would take care of all the cells that didn't match up with your preference file. The next tool that I want to talk about is the Export Name Symbology to CSV tool. This tool allows you to export name symbologies to a comma-separated values file that contains all the information on the parameters that define how a point, line, or text will appear in plan view, profiles, and in cross-sections. It has an option for verbose mode, which will allow you to capture any undefined data. And another thing to note is that column order matters. So let's go look at that command. Tools, Name Symbology Tools. It's the third one on the list. Export Name Symbology to CSV. Okay, when you export, you have the option to export the line, text, and point information in separate CSV files, or you can import them all in one single CSV file. Here's the toggle for verbose mode, and I mentioned before, if this is toggled on, it will include any undefined information along with your defined information. So if you have any name symbologies that haven't been defined, it'll export them as zeros, and then you can go to the CSV file, do a bulk edit, change the zeros to valid information, and then re-import it back into InRoads. One thing to note when making changes to the CSV file, you have to make sure that you don't rearrange the column orders. InRoads reads the column letters A, B, or C, but not the column names. Okay, so let's try one. I'm going to export a single file. Pick the Browse button. Navigate to the location I want to save it to, and I'm going to call it export.csv. And I have verbose mode toggled on. Okay, I click Apply, and the software processes, and the CSV file is saved. So I want to go and find that on my hard drive. Open Export CSV. It takes a little bit of time. Okay, and here's the file. Okay, you can see the column headings. This is the name, the description. You can tell if it's undefined. Layer name, color, weight, line type. Font name. All of your Symbology attributes are here. So you can do a sort and change all of your undefines as you need to, then do a file, save as, and save the edits to the CSV file. Then you can bring that CSV file back into InRoads. And you'll use the import name symbology from CSV command to do that. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slides. And we'll talk about the import name symbology from CSV command. This is also a comma separated values file. You can select the option similarly to export for the import individual point, line, and text file, or import one single file. It gives you the option for managing duplicate names, if any exist, by renaming or replacing those symbologies. And I want to make sure that I mention that it's very important that InRoads reads the column number, not the column name. So if you edit the file before importing, don't change the order of the columns or they won't import into InRoads correctly. So let's go look at that one. Tools, Name Symbology Tools. It's the fourth one on the list. Import name symbology from CSV. Okay, you have a toggle to import the three separate files, line, text, or point, with the Browse button to navigate to these files. You can import a single file with the Browse button. And then it has the options for duplicate names. If you choose Rename, it will rename any duplicate name symbologies by adding an incremental underbar and number to the existing symbology name. If you pick Replace, it will overwrite any existing symbologies that have that same name. Okay, let's go back to the name symbology tools. We've talked about the Verify Name symbology, which allows you to get a list of all your levels and cells and pinpoint exactly which levels and cells don't show up in your design file or in your cell libraries. Save this as a report. And I'll show you what that report looks like. It's exactly what we just looked at. It just gives you a report that you can provide to your users if you need to. We've also talked about the Global Name Symbology Edit, which allows you to change any of your Symbology attributes, scale, weight, font, text width and height, on your matched items, all at one time. So let's do another example of that. I'm going to go down and find asphalt, and I'm going to set it active. And I want to change the color of all my asphalt matched items at one time. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all my asphalts, pick the color that I want to change it to, and click Apply. It asks me if I want to apply the changes. I say yes, and those have been changed. So I'm going to go back to my Name Symbology Manager and find asphalt, and you can see that the color has been changed. We've talked about export name symbology to CSV and import name symbology from CSV. Okay, to summarize what we've looked at today, the name symbology tools allow ease of verification and editing of symbologies in your XIN preference file. This is very useful to make sure your users are in compliance with company standards, and makes it easy when it comes to displaying to know that your cells are already going to be set up correctly. We looked at just a few examples of how the global name symbology edit command works. Searching and editing all name symbologies and their attributes can be performed in this one dialog box. The export and import to and from comma-separated values files allows quick and easy bulk editing of undefined parameters. This concludes our session today on Bentley InRoads 8.7 Name Symbology Tools. We know you will find these helpful in managing and editing your name symbologies in your preference files. Please let us know if you have any questions regarding anything we've covered today. Also, let us know if you have any recommendations for upcoming remote lectures.